Welcome to another edition of Bedtime Bible Stories. I hope you enjoyed that story about Jacob that we just finished up and his brothers. And today's story is kind of a continuation of that story, but it takes place like 400 years later. And so this is a story that you may have actually heard of before because they made a very popular movie about it. And the movie was called Out of Egypt. Do you remember who that movie was about? It was about Moses. That's correct. It was about Moses. And so this is the beginning of the story of Moses. And this is a verse from the book of Exodus in the Bible, chapter 29, verse 46. They will know that I am the Lord their God. They will know that I brought them out of Egypt so I could live among them. I am the Lord their God. When Jacob moved his family from Canaan to live with Joseph in Egypt, they were a clan of 70 people. For hundreds of years, 400 years, hundreds of years, God's people lived peacefully and safely in Egypt, and their numbers grew. But then a new Pharaoh took over. He was afraid of God's people because their commitment to God was strong, and they had become a powerful nation, just as God had promised. So the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, faced them to work as his slaves. But God had a plan. He wasn't going to allow his people to be slaves forever. God would lead them to the land he had promised. But first, God had to find a leader to guide his people into freedom. Moses becomes a leader. A Hebrew woman named Jochebed gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. Pharaoh wanted all the Hebrew baby boys killed, so Jochebed hid her precious child to keep him safe. Please, God, help save my son, she prayed. Jochebed placed the baby in a basket and floated it in the Nile River. Miriam, the baby's sister, watched from a distance. When Pharaoh's daughter came to the river to bathe, she spotted the basket in the reeds. "Poor child," said the princess. "He is a Hebrew baby. I will keep him as my own and call him Moses, because I brought him out of the water." Moses became the son of the princess. He grew up in the palace in Egypt. But when Pharaoh tried to kill him for harming an Egyptian, Moses ran away to the desert. Moses lived in the desert of Midian for many years. One day, on Mount Horeb, the mountain of God, Moses noticed a bush covered in flames. He wondered, why isn't the bush burning up? Suddenly a voice boomed out of the flames. "Moses, Moses, do not come any closer. I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I have heard the cries of my people. I am going to rescue them. Go back to Egypt. Tell Pharaoh to let my people go." Moses was shaking. "No, Lord, not me. Who am I to talk to Pharaoh? Send somebody else." "I will be with you, Moses. Here is a sign to show that I sent you. Throw your staff on the ground, and it will turn into a snake." Moses did as God instructed, and a snake slithered on the ground where the staff had been. Moses grabbed the snake's tail, and it turned into a staff again. Moses saw God's power. Now Moses was ready to lead God's people. God's message. I have heard the cries of my people, longing to be free. I will come to their aid. I will break the bonds that tie them. I will show the people of Egypt that there is no God greater than me. He was going to show them that there was no God greater than him, because down in Egypt land, They had all kinds of gods. They worshiped all sorts of creatures. But God said he is the one true God and the only God. And so God is going to go down to Egypt land with Moses and show Pharaoh a thing or two. But that's for next week. I pray you're having a great week yourself. I pray that you are enjoying school and that you are learning. I pray that you're being obedient. But I pray more than anything that you are aware of God's love for you and how much he cares for you. And as much he cares for the person who's driving that ambulance right by as I'm talking to you. But we pray that God watches over us all. Be safe, and don't forget to say your prayers this evening before you go to bed. Good night, and I'll see you soon.